A few days after this, the Lama invited me to go for a walk with him, and I did so. In the course of our stroll, we came to the spot already mentioned, whereon the uncles and cousins of the Lama had agreed not to build, and which was now guarded by them. Here the Lama came to a halt and said, "Thou art now to build on this spot an ordinary quadrangular house, 9 stories high, with an ornamental upper part forming a 10th story. This house shall not be demolished, and upon its completion I will bestow on thee the truths for which thou art pining, and maintain thee while thou art in retreat performing sadhana and meditation, providing thee with all needed food and clothing." Here I ventured to suggest that he should allow me to ask his wife, whom I used to call Reverend Mother, to come and be witness to his words. He granted my request, so I went and called the Reverend Mother, while the Lama occupied himself in making out the ground plan. Then, in the presence of both, I said, "Up to the present I have built 3 houses and again demolished each of them. In the case of the first, the Lama said that he had not given due consideration to the matter. In the case of the second, that he had been tipsy when he gave the order for it. And in the case of the third, that he had either been out of his senses or quite mad at the time, and did not remember having ever given me the order to build it." Upon my reminding him of the circumstances in connection with the third house I built, he asked me to produce a witness to his words, and seemed highly displeased. Now, once more, he is giving me the order to begin building another house, so I pray that thou, my Reverend Mother, mayest be pleased to act as witness to this present order." The lady replied, "Of course I can stand as witness, but thy Guru, the Reverend Father, is so imperious that he will not pay any attention to us. Moreover, the Reverend Father is doing a perfectly useless thing. There is no necessity for all these building projects. It is altogether needless trouble to cause thee to build houses so often, only to pull them down as often again. Besides, this site is not ours by right, but closed and guarded by all thy Guru's relatives, it being the site on which a joint vow hath been taken by them. But the Reverend Father will pay no heed to such a weak voice as mine. I shall only incur risk of contention." Addressing his wife, the Lama said, "Merely do what thou art asked to do, namely stand witness, and then get away home, and leave me to see to the performance of my part in the business. Thou needest not raise questions no one asketh thee to raise." So I set about laying the foundation of the quadrangular building ordered, and then proceeded with its erection. But now Godan Chudor of Zung, and Sertan Wangge of Dal, and Mitan Sanpo of Sangrong, all advanced disciples of my Guru, happened in a short time to bring to that spot a big boulder. As it was a good-sized stone, I set it in as a cornerstone just above the foundation near the doorway, and had got up to about the 2nd story from the ground when Marpa, the translator, came on a visit to the scene of my toil. After inspecting the building all round very carefully, he pointed to the stone that had been brought by the 3 advanced disciples of his, and said, "Great sorcerer, whence didst thou procure that stone?" I replied, "Reverend sir, it was brought in by thy reverend 3 chief disciples." "Oh, was it?" he said. "Well, thou hast no business to use for thy building purposes a stone brought by them. See that it is taken out and returned to the place from which it was taken." I reminded him of his promise not to have this building pulled down. He only replied, "But I did not promise to let thee employ as thy workmen my chief disciples who have been initiated into the mystic truths of twice-born beings. Besides, I am not ordering thee to pull down the entire edifice, but only to take out that stone brought by my chief disciples, and to restore it to its original place. Thus once more I had to pull down from top to bottom a wall which I had erected. Taking out the stone, I put it back whence it had come. As soon as the Lama saw that I had accomplished this, he came and said, "Now thou mayest go and bring back that same stone thyself, and set it in the same place." Putting forth the strength of the 3 men, I managed to get it up and put it into the same place as before. The stone was ever after called my giant stone, in token of the unusual physical strength I displayed in connection with it. While I was thus engaged in laying the foundation of this edifice on the prohibited site, some of those who saw me said, "It seemeth as though Marpa really meaneth to build on this spur. Had we not better object to it?" But others said, "Marpa is beside himself. He hath got hold of a strong young novice from the highlands, and being possessed with a mania for building, he keepeth the poor young man busy all the time building houses of unapproved patterns on every ridge, spur, and knoll around here. Then, when the building is half finished, he getteth the same young man to pull it all down again and carry the materials back to where they came from. He will surely do the same in this case as well. But if he should not, there will be ample time to stop him. Let us wait and see." However, they soon saw that this house was not to be pulled down, but continued. Then, when it had reached the 7th story and another sore had come on my body near the waist, Marpa's relatives said to one another, "He is not going to pull down this building. The pulling down of the others was only a feint designed to mislead us and prevent our objecting at the outset to the building of this one. Let us pull it down now." And with this intent they collected in body many people, but the Lama produced by magical power a vast body of armed troops who crowded the house both outside and inside. The would-be attackers were all filled with fear. Each looked at the other and asked, "From where hath Marpa the translator managed to call up such a number of troops?" They did not dare to fight with them. Instead, each one privily paid his respects to Marpa, and subsequently all became his followers. At about this time, Mitan Sonpo of Songrong came to receive the grand initiation into the Demchog Mala. My Reverend Mother, my Guru's consort, thereupon spoke to me, saying, "Now is the time for thee also to try to get initiated. Let us make the attempt." I also thought that since I had succeeded in erecting such an edifice entirely single-handedly, without receiving so much as a piece of stone the size of a goat's head, a basketful of earth, a jugful of water, or a spadeful of clay in the way of help from anyone else, I surely must deserve some consideration. And I felt quite sure that the initiation would now be bestowed on me. So bowing down, I took my seat among the candidates for initiation. Seeing me there, the Lama asked, "Great sorcerer, what hast thou as the offering?" I replied, "Thy reverence promised me that when I had completed the building of the house for thy reverence son, I should be favored with initiation and instruction. So I hope thy reverence will now be pleased to grant me the initiation." Upon this, the Lama exclaimed, "What presumption! What impertinence! Just because thou hast put together a few cubits of mud wall, I forsooth must impart to thee the sacred lore which I obtained from India only at much personal sacrifice and cost. If thou can pay the initiation fees, well and good, pay them. If thou cannot, out thou walkest from this mystic circle." and he struck me and, dragging me by the hair, flung me out. Thereupon I wished that I were dead, or that I might die there and then, upon the spot. I wept the whole of that night through. Then the Lama's lady came to me and said, "The Lama is beyond all comprehension. He saith that he hath brought the sacred doctrine from India into this land for the benefit of all sentient beings, and as a rule he will teach and to preach to even a dog that may happen to come into his presence, and wind up by praying for its welfare. Still, do not lose faith in him." Thus the good woman tried to cheer me. Next morning the Lama himself came to me and said, "Great sorcerer, thou hadst better cease work on this house thou hast under construction, and begin on another dwelling house of 12 pillars, having a hall chamber and a chapel, to serve as an annex to the main edifice. When thou hast finished this, I will surely give thee the instructions." Once more I laid the foundations of a building. All the while the Lama's lady continued to supply me with excellent food and condiments daily, together with a little Chang, and she consoled me and gave me good advice. As the annex was approaching completion, the Sertun Wangge of Dal came to receive the great initiation into the mala of the esoteric. Thereupon the Lama's lady said to me, "This time, at any rate, my son, we shall manage to get thee initiated." She provided me with a roll of butter, a piece of blanket cloth, and a small copper vessel, told me to go and take my seat among the Sishas, the disciples who were about to go and receive initiation. The Lama, noticing me, said, "Great sorcerer, what hast thou as thine initiation fees, that thou takest thy seat in the ranks of the novices?" I produced my roll of butter, blanket cloth, and copper vessel, and said that these should be mine offerings. To this the Lama replied that these things already belonged to him, since they had been brought as initiation fees by others, that they would not do, and that I must bring something belonging to myself, or else get out of the mystic circle of those to be initiated. And at this he arose, seemingly in a furious temper, and drove me out with blows from his foot, so that I wished I could sink into the earth. Then the thought came to me, seeing that I have caused the death of so many people by means of sorcery, and destroyed such a number of crops with storms of hail, all that I now am suffering is the karmic result of those evil deeds. Or else, so I thought, the Lama must have perceived something in me whereby he knew that I would not be able to receive and practice the doctrine. Or again the thought came, and I wondered, was it that the Lama did not regard me personally with liking or esteem? So I thought within myself, without religion the life of a man is not worth living. And I began to make up my mind to kill myself. At this moment the Lama's lady brought her share of offerings of consecrated food and communicated her sincere condolences. But I had lost all relish, even for consecrated food, and wept on the whole night through.